It was the dead of night in the rural hills of Meru County, Kenya, when the screams began. The date was July 13th, 1991, a Saturday that would forever be etched in blood. In the girls' dormitory at St. Kizito Mixed Secondary School, 271 teenage girls huddled in their bunk beds, some still whispering about their upcoming mock exams, others drifting into sleep under the dim flicker of lights. But then, the power cut out, plunging everything into pitch blackness. Doors splintered open with a crash, and a mob of shadows poured in. Boys from the same school, classmates they had laughed with in their classrooms, shared meals with in a dining hall. "Today is our day," one of them snarled. "We've come for you." Chaos erupted as girls scrambled to hide under beds, in corners, behind lockers. But there was no escape. The air filled with cries of terror, pleas for mercy, the thud of bodies being dragged across the floor. And by dawn, 19 girls lay lifeless, suffocated in piles of panic-stricken bodies, and 71 others bore the scars of unimaginary violation. This wasn't a random act of madness. It was a strike that turned into slaughter. This isn't just a story of a school gone wrong. This is what happens when simmering resentments, unchecked entitlement, and a culture that turns a blind eye to violence collide in the darkness, leaving behind broken lives and a nation forced to confront its deepest flaws. Beneath the rift uncovers the haunting truth of Black Sunday, where brothers became beasts and innocence was forever lost. Listener discretion is advised. This episode contains graphic description of sexual violence, death, and trauma. If these topics are triggering, please take care of yourself and consider skipping ahead or tuning out. Let's go all the way back. Picture Kenya in 1991, a country still navigating the complexities of post-colonial life under President Daniel Arap Moi. His iron-fisted rule, education was seen as the great equalizer, a pathway out of poverty for many families scraping by in rural areas. Boarding schools dotted the landscape, institutions where children from humble backgrounds were sent to study, often far from home, in environments that promised discipline and opportunity. But beneath the surface, these schools were powder kegs, overcrowded, underfunded, with teachers overworked and underpaid, and students grappling with the pressures of exams, school fees, and adolescent tensions. School strikes were commonplace, a form of protest against poor conditions, unfair grading, or administrative neglect. Sometimes they involved arson or vandalism. Other times, they escalated into something far more sinister. St. Kizito Mixed Secondary School sat in the Tigania area of Meru County, nestled among coffee plantations and rolling hills in eastern Kenya. It was founded in 1968 as an all-boys institution. Something scared me, guys. As an all-boys institution by the Catholic Church. It began admitting girls in 1975, transitioning into a co-ed boarding school, sponsored jointly by the church and the government. By 1991, it housed over 577 students aged 14 to 18, 306 boys and around 271 girls, many from poor families, farmers who sacrificed everything to afford the fees. The campus was modest, honestly, a cluster of one-story brick buildings connected by dirt paths, with separate dormitories for boys and girls in an L-shaped structure. The girls' dormitory was simple. It was a simple room with bunk beds crammed together, lockers for belongings, and a little aisle. Outside, the air carried the scent of eucalyptus trees and distant rain, but inside the school walls, a different atmosphere brewed. The community around St. Kizito was steeped in traditional Kenyan values, where respect for elders and communal harmony were emphasized. But gender dynamics were starkly unequal. Male chauvinism ran deep, with boys often raised to view girls as lesser, meant for chores, subservience, and sometimes objects of entitlement. In schools like this, rumors swirled of male teachers exploiting female students, further fueling resentment among the boys who felt sidelined and frustrated. Rape was disturbingly normalized in some circles. That's a disturbing factor. The principal himself later admitted it has happened before, with boys scaring girls out of dorms and doing their thing in the bushes, only for life to resume as normal. Early warning signs had been flickering for weeks. Mock exam results were released, and the boys fared poorly, blaming teachers for favoritism towards girls who had performed better. Girls always perform better, and I digress. Grievances piled up. High fees that families struggled to pay, substandard food, inadequate facilities, and a general sense of neglect. Whispers of a strike began circulating among the boys, inspired by similar unrests over 20 other schools in the Meru district that year. They approached the girls, urging them to join in boycotting an inter-school football match against Mayaten Boys High School. But the girls, perhaps sensing danger or simply unwilling to risk their lives or their futures, they refused. "We are not part of this," they said. That refusal planted a seed of rage among the boys. The local legends added an eerie layer. Rumors that the dormitory grounds were haunted, where people mysteriously disappeared, though no one took it seriously at that time. Teachers heard rumors, but did little. The principal dismissed concerns, and as Saturday approached, the air grew thick with unspoken threats. But really no one intervened. That day, it started ordinarily enough. July 13, 1991, a warm Saturday in the dry season. Students went about their routines, classes in the morning, chores in the afternoon, but the boys had made their decision. As evening fell, around 6 p.m., the boys gathered in small groups, their voices low and urgent. They approached the girls again, pressing them to join the strike by refusing to attend evening prep and also having the meals. Again, the girls declined, choosing to focus on their studies instead. This rejection stung, turning frustration into fury. "If you're not with us, obviously you're against us," some boys muttered. By 9 p.m., lights out time, the campus settled into quiet. The girls in their dormitory chatted softly before sleep, unaware of a storm brewing. The boys' dormitory buzzed with activity. They planned their move. Around 10 p.m., a group of boys began storming the teachers' quarters, forcing staff to flee or hide. Security guards, if there were any, vanished into the night. The principal called the police, but fuel shortages delayed their response. Vehicles had no petrol, a common issue in rural areas. Then, at approximately 1 a.m., the power went out, deliberately cut by the boys, and darkness enveloped the school. Armed with sticks, stones, and unbridled rage, Over 300 boys stormed the girls' dormitory. Doors were smashed open, windows shattered. "Kizito, Kizito," they chanted. A twisted war cry. Girls walked to pandemonium, screaming as hands grabbed them in the dark. "Today we want to rape you," the boys shouted. Okay, according to later accounts, like direct, straightforward. Some girls were dragged outside to the fields where they were assaulted amid the bushes. Others barricaded themselves in corners or under bunk beds, piling on top of each other in terror. The assault lasted hours, a slow-burning nightmare. Surviving girls, recalled the suffocating press of bodies as they hid. In one corner of the dormitory, dozens crammed together, hyperventilating in fear. The weight became too much. Girls at the bottom of that whole pile gasped for air, trampled and crushed. 19 died this way, not from direct blows, but from asphyxiation and stampede injuries. One survivor, years later, tearfully described leading visitors to the death chamber, pointing to the spot where her friend perished. Local chatter spread quickly. Villagers heard the screams but stayed away, fearing involvement. Teachers hid, and one allegedly joined the attackers. Confusion reigned. Some boys claimed it was just a scare, but the evidence told otherwise. Torn clothing, bloodied floors, broken lives. By 4 a.m., the rampage ebbed as dawn approached. The boys retreated, leaving devastation. When light broke, the full horror emerged. Bodies in heaps, survivors in shock, some pregnant from the assaults, by the way. Police finally arrived 10 hours too late. The dormitory looked like a war zone. Bunk beds twisted, suitcases scattered, bloody underwear on the floor. In the immediate aftermath, shockwaves rippled through Meru and beyond. Police cordoned off the school, interviewing survivors amid their trauma. Initial leads pointed to the strike as the spark, but conflicting accounts emerged. Some boys claimed it was a prank gone wrong. Girls described premeditated assault. Evidence was stark. Medical exams confirmed 71 rapes. 71. An autopsy showed suffocation as the cause of death, yet officials downplayed it. Deputy Principal Joyce Kithira infamously told President Moi during his visit, "The boys never meant any harm against the girls. They just wanted to rape. Like, that's just okay." What was happening in 1991? Oh my goodness. She was dismissed for failing to maintain discipline, but reinstated almost immediately. Cruel joke. Principal James Laimboni echoed that rape was common, sanctioned by staff. Vice President George Saitoti blamed the victims, saying they should have let the boys in to avoid death. Can you imagine their victim blaming? Dead ends piled up. No fingerprints or DNA tech available then, and witnesses feared retaliation. 3 teachers were arrested for negligence but released. 39 boys were detained on murder and rape charges, but prosecutors struggled to link individuals to specific acts due to no DNA and all those things by that time. Media coverage was bold for Kenya, with outlets like the Weekly Review calling out male chauvinism, but government pressure led to self-censorship. International press like the New York Times and the Washington Post highlighted corruption and victim blaming. Victim blaming, it is a lot of it. The girls mostly, obviously. And a lot of people still ask, was there a cover-up? Of course, many believed so, given light scrutiny on staff and delayed police response. They were like finding excuse for the perpetrators. The investigation dragged, with survivors receiving no counseling and just $5 each from the government, 500 Kenya shillings. The school closed immediately. It gets locked amid outrage, though it reopened years later as an all-boys institution, renamed St. Cyprian Boys High School, erasing the mixed legacy. The trial lasted a year. Charges reduced to manslaughter due to evidentiary gaps. Only 10 of the 39 boys were convicted, receiving light sentences, some as short as 4 to 7 years. Others probation. Their identities protected as juveniles. We don't know who did it. They were sealed. Many walked free though, reintegrating into society without stigma. The community response was mixed. Like I said, I don't know what was wrong with people back then. The horror in Meru, like the victim blaming, persisted. Nationally, it sparked soul searching on gender violence, with feminists and editors decrying abominable male chauvinism. Protests erupted, calls for better school safety, but changes were superficial, really. Strikes continued, violence in schools lingered. Internationally, it spotlighted women's rights in Africa, prompting aid for gender programs. And survivors carried lifelong trauma, honestly. Some with unwanted pregnancies at the early age of like 14 years old, others haunted by memories. And in 2005, 14 years later, survivors like Mary revisited the site, weeping over the death chamber. Supernatural rumors grew, but yeah, about the grounds being haunted by the restless souls. Black Sunday became a cautionary tale, referenced in recent school unrests like the 2025 incidents where boys attempted similar invasions, invoking fears of repetition. In the quiet hills of Meru, the echoes of that night still whisper through the trees, a reminder that darkness can lurk in the most ordinary places. Some said the fire of rage consumed those boys, turning them into monsters for a few hours. Others whisper that the true horror was the system that allowed it. The indifference, the excuses, the blame shifted onto the broken. But what no one ever says aloud is what became of the silence that followed. Did justice truly heal, or did it just bury the pain deeper? As the survivors walked their paths, carrying invisible scars, one question lingers like a shadow. In a world that forgives so easily, who really pays the price?